Hello everyone, I'm Kalen North, and today we're going to be doing another level 6 adversary matchup. By request, this one is going to be Thunderspeaker versus Sweden 6 with no events. I am going to leave Branch and Claw turned on, so we will have Command Beasts as well as an extra Fear card in Terror level 2. But otherwise, this is going to be a fairly standard game, Thunderspeaker versus Sweden. Alright, invaders start in the wetlands, and we get an extra town in the mountains. So I'm going to go ahead and use a sudden ambush opening here. I'm going to try and pull a Dahan from land 2 into land 3 to take out that explorer, and then we're going to defend land 1 on turn 2. There are a couple ways to go about the sudden ambush opening. I can either grow twice from the top track, or I can grow once from the bottom track and take our energy spike. I do want to do the twice from the top track, I believe, here. I think that's going to give us a slightly more powerful turn 2, playing Words of Warning plus Manifestation of Power and Glory. So I'm going to grow twice, once into land 2, and once into land 7. Play Sudden Ambush, and take out land 3. Invaders build in the wetlands and explore in the jungles. Alright. So, because of that, I am going to go ahead and gather some Dahan back into the jungle in land 2. We could be in some trouble if they escalate into the jungles on the second turn, but I think that we're going to have better odds of being able to blow everything up here if we do just go ahead and put the 2 Dahan in there right away. The other option we could have is we could gather the Dahan from land 7 into land 5, which is a bit more defensive of a play, and then pull the Dahan into land 2 on next turn. But then that still leaves our Dahan in land 1, or land 3 rather, vulnerable to conversion. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab these 2 and see what we can do with that. So I'm going to take Energy Spike, grow from the bottom track. The idea here is, of course, going to be to try and take out everything with Manifestation. And I'm going to play Words of Warning and Manifestation this turn. Words of Warning to handle land 1, and we have Command Beasts available, but there's nothing to do with it, so we're going to just leave that be for now. Town and Explorer versus 2 Dahan still works well in this matchup with Words of Warning. And the invaders escalated in the jungle, so that's a problem. But we'll be able to deal with that regardless. We can go ahead and gather some more Dahan in there before we manifest, and still clear it nicely. So we'll grab 2 Dahan from land 1. I'm not going to push any Dahan out, and then I'm going to manifest for 9 damage to totally clear the land. Finally, Lead the Furious Assault is going to take out the town in land 7. And so now we are, in fact, protected against issues with the Sweden escalation, for the next turn at least. At this point, I'd like to reclaim playing Voice of Thunder on its own isn't going to do too much, even if we go and uncover some elements. We could potentially get a chance to lead the Furious Assault, but it's just not going to be enough. I'd rather go and see what we can get from other powers in the deck. Here, I'm going to be using a I'm going to gain a minor power first, and then probably gain a major power after that, depending on what we get. So minor power, Animated Rackroot is a little underwhelming here. Isn't going to do too much, unfortunately. Rain of Blood is kind of appealing. It does have animal and air elements, and that extra fear really helps with one of Thunderspeaker's sort of weaknesses, which is they're a little bit low on fear gain. But we're probably doing it all right with fear without taking that. Pact of the Joint Hunt could be really nice if we can get some Dahan into a land and then go ahead and play Pact on that land. But Inflame the Fires of Life is probably going to be even more useful with the animal and fire elements, and we can probably threshold it at some point in the near future. So we're going to be able to use that to take out quite a bit of stuff, adding Disease and Strife to solve lands, basically with a one cost card. Gain a second power card. I'm going to go ahead and gain a major again, or gain a major this time. And we're probably going to forget Sudden Ambush for it. There's some cases in which that we might not do that, but that is the most likely thing. Uh, well, anyone who's watched some of my other videos knows I love Insatiable Hunger of the Swarm. It's a very, very powerful card. Flow like water, reach like air, also a very, very powerful card. Getting that extra range. If you can threshold, even if you can't threshold it, getting to drag Dahan and Presence and explorers and towns all around the board is really good, especially against Sweden, who's really weak to control powers. Pent-Up Calamity is pretty nice. It doesn't actually solve land 6 for us this turn, unfortunately, and so it's slightly less appealing because of that. And Grant Hatred or Ravenous Form is just a little undertuned for this. It doesn't have good elements for us, and the effect is just not going to be very useful. So I'm going to take Insatiable Hunger of the Swarm, and we're going to use that to sort of blight the island before the Swedes can do it. I'll forget Sudden Ambush, as talked about earlier. Play Insatiable Hunger and Voice of Thunder, because we can't afford anything else. And then go ahead and Insatiable Hunger in land 6, which clears it entirely. We get another beast on the island, so that command beasts might start getting useful at some point here. But for now, I'm going to finish using powers. Alright, each player adds a strife in a land. Okay, that doesn't actually do us any good. Fear card whiff. We may push an explorer into a land with more buildings. Also whiff. That's fine. We got the jungles clear. They're not going to be able to hurt us too much on the escalation. And there we go into the mountains. So, in order to set up for next turn, I'm going to Voice of Thunder, push these 3 Dahan into land 5. And then I'm going to use Gather the Warriors to gather 2 Dahan into land 8. They will be safe at this point because the escalations already happened for mountains, and so we don't need to worry about that anymore. This turn, I'd really like to take to grow twice from the bottom track and play 3 cards, but I can't actually afford to. So I'm instead going to take my energy spike so I actually can afford Manifestation of Power and Glory this turn. Words of Warning isn't going to do too much for us this turn either, and so Manifestation is just going to be significantly more efficient for us to use. I am going to grow from the bottom track again, though, so that I can get to that 3-card plays in the near future. And I'm going to put the extra presence in... it doesn't make a huge difference because either land we put it in could do well when we manifest. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put it in land 4. We'll use Manifestation in land 5 and then Inflame the Fires of Life in land 8. And then defend next turn in order to finish off the invaders in land 8. Getting the extra presence in land 4 just gives us something to deal with as far as the city that's left there. But otherwise, this should be good. So finish using powers, Ravage in the jungles, build in the mountains, explore into the sands. Alright, so we're going to manifest to clear land 5. And then we're going to gather those Dahan into land 4. And I'm going to Inflame the Fires of Life in land 8. I didn't get it thresholded, so we are just going to add a strife to the town, or the city rather, which is really good. That's, -5 damage. And now this turn, I'm going to actually grow twice and get to that Reclaim 1 spot, so that I can play Words of Warning on land 8 and something to try and deal with 4 or 7. So I will place a presence in land 8, and I will place another presence in land 5, as long as we're going for overkill, We're going to take Manifestation back because we can use that to clear land 4. And we're going to go ahead and win or get very close to winning this turn. Words of Warning in land 8, as we talked about, without the event deck, that's a pretty safe bet. Again, it's basically Town and Explorer versus Dahan. We unfortunately don't have enough Dahan to fully clear the land, but we will take out the city and the Explorer, and then we could take out the town with Lead the Furious Assault if we need to. Quarantine could be very good. And we get to Terror level 2. And Quarantine hits the coastal lands. Perfect. Alright, so Manifestation clears land 4. And then I'm going to lead the Furious Assault to clear land 8. And finally, Gather the Warriors, pulling some Dahan into land 7, where we can just win on the Ravage next turn. We don't need to do any pushing. I'm going to go ahead and, it doesn't actually matter what we do. We could just reclaim our Words of Warning and win off of that. So I'm going to just place another Presence in land 7. Again, with no event deck, this is safe. With an event deck, it's a lot less safe, but still something that we might be able to just gamble on. I would probably do a full reclaim in that case, rather than this. But for now, Words of Warning, finish using powers. We may push some things. I do not want to. And we skip the next build, which is actually kind of bad almost. But here we get a victory. We clear the island. It's Terror level 2, but it could be Terror level 1. No invaders left at all. So that's Sweden and Thunderspeaker. Thunderspeaker can definitely wreck Sweden if they're able to get ahead of them. If Sweden snowballs out of control, it's a lot harder, especially if you lose some Dahan early on to those first escalations. But you can still recover from that and do pretty well. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got thoughts, comments, or anything like that, please let me know in the comment section below or join me on Discord. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Thanks.